Hi everyone, welcome to session 4, Ups and Downs. This layout is using the beautiful Simple Vintage Cottage Fields collection. And we're going to start off by using the heart template to draw a heart onto a piece of white cardstock. And then we are going to make chevrons inside the aperture. Okay, so it's going to look really, really pretty. Again, it's a very easy technique, not hard to do at all, and doesn't actually take a particularly long time either, unless you want to distress all the edges like I did. But you don't have to do that. So I am distressing the inside edges of the heart shape, and on the back of the heart shape we will have foam pads going all around the outside, so we have it so it does actually resemble an aperture as opposed to just being flat. So take the A4 sheet of smooth card and draw your heart onto there as well. You can either use the heart template or you can use the heart you just cut out of your white cardstock to draw that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut 1-inch strips of paper. So we've got 5 different papers to use from the Simple Vintage Cottage Fields 6x8 paper pad. And we are going to cut 1-inch strips. And then we're going to cut all of those strips into 1-inch squares. And then we're going to cut all of those 1-inch squares in half diagonally to make triangles. Okay, so we're going to end up with a whole load of triangles. And I have quite a few left over. I haven't made my extra inspiration layout yet. So I wonder what I will make with them. So anyway, we're going to create this chevron pattern. So we need to first of all cut up all of the triangles. Now, once they are all done, I did spend some time distressing the edges of all of them. I only lightly distressed them. They're quite hard to do because they're very small. So I ended up like shaving my nails as well by accident. So just go a bit careful with that. And also, it's really time consuming. So if you would like to skip this step, you can absolutely do so. Very much do that if that's something that you want, if you don't, that you're not that bothered about. I really like the look of distressed edges on everything. I just feel that it gives a bit of separation, a bit of a white edge. And I just really love how that looks. So for me, I decided it was worth it. But in the time that we have, it may not have been, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm starting right in the very middle of the heart, and I aimed my first point up to meet the point in the middle of the heart, if that makes sense. I have I'm now just working along that row. So I wanted to basically see how this all would look, I am just going along, getting it all stuck in place. I really wanted my design to be kind of central and for it to work well and look right. And because if I'd started at one side, then I was worried that I would have, the chevron would be in a strange place in the middle. So that's why I started where I did, and I worked to one side, then I worked to the other side. And then I started moving upwards, and I did that in the black. And then I finish off at the top there, and then I work down as well. Oh no, am I going to work down? I'm going to work down first and then work up later. So you can see that I've covered the entire heart in adhesive. I've also gone around the outside edges as well. And I'm just picking up the pieces and sticking them on. It's really super simple. It's basically a bit of paper piecing or, patchwork maybe, but it looks really effective and it's really, really easy. Once you get going, once all the preparation work is done, i.e. you've cut up your triangles, this part is really enjoyable. I really enjoyed this bit, and I love the result as well, so definitely worthwhile doing. Just make sure that every little piece of your heart is covered, no matter how teeny tiny the nick is that you need to put on there. Just stick a triangle there and hopefully it will cover it. And then when we come to put the aperture over the top of the heart, it will all completely be covered. Okay, so here I've got a bit further on. I'm just going to finish off the final pieces. You see I've had to extend up past the top of the paper or the cardstock, and the same at the bottom. I've had to fill that writing down to the bottom as well in order to get the very bottom of the heart done. Look at that. It's so satisfying, that moment when you hold it up and against the chevrons, the heart aperture against the chevrons. it just looks so awesome. It's just a really, wow moment, isn't it, when you get that effect. So okay, so I'm now just going to stick the two pieces together. So I've just put foam pads around the outside edge of the aperture, and I'm going to stick that over the top of the heart. So I'm just going to offer it up, make sure that it's central, and I'm happy with how it's all looking. And I'm also going to put double-sided tape on the back of that heart too. And then I'm also going to secure it on the back with tape too. So you can see that I'm lining up that very top point of the heart with the top of that chevron I started with. So that's very important. Okay, just adding some sellotape at the top there. And around the outside edge, just to make sure that's all lovely and secure and not going to go anywhere. Of course, it feels quite heavy because we have the white cardstock, we have the white A4 cardstock, and we have pattern paper all over that piece of white cardstock. So it's fairly paper heavy. Okay, so background done. Excellent. So now the fun part can start with adding the photos and the embellishments. I have two photos today. I have a large, it's not 6x4, it's a bit smaller than that. And then I have a smaller one as well. So I think the top one is like 3.5 by 5 inches, something like that. And then the smaller one too. So and I've printed them both in black and white. You could print black and white or colour if your colours suit the papers, of course. I'm just putting those into position, and I'm arranging them with some of the Simple Vintage Cottage Fields ephemera. We have the bits and pieces pack, and I'm going to put some floral bits behind the photos, and I'm going to put some other pieces around. I've got a tag there that I'm going to tie through with the pink thread. And I'm going to tuck that behind my photo as well. And then everything else, I'm just going to continue to kind of build up, and see how it goes. So at this point in time, I don't really know what the layout's going to look like. So I'm just kind of seeing what works. And that's why I've pulled out all the bits and pieces I want to use. I was aiming for a kind of pinky colour scheme for this one with a little bit of green thrown in. So I've just picked out all the bits that I think will work. And then I'm just arranging them, seeing how it all looks. I'm pretty happy with how it's kind of coming together, actually. I like the arrangement of the photos with her facing into the heart. That works well. And then my title, Take Note from the Good Stuff foam stickers, is going to go on top of the photo itself. Okay, so I've moved on a little bit now. I've got everything stuck in place, and I've got my Bramble Fox trees in place. I've got Bramble Fox hearts. I've got the bottom piece with two little strips of leftover pattern paper from the chevrons. And I'm just going to sprinkle some sequins in place as well. Just going to pop those on. So I'm doing those around the two main clusters. So the one on the right where the photos are, of course, and the one down the bottom left side as well, where the little extra cluster is too. I just felt that the layout needed balancing out a little bit because I have the heart in the middle, obviously, and then I have the two photos with a very large cluster on the right, and then it just felt a bit off kilter, so I needed to balance that bottom left. That bow is fussy cut from one of the ephemera pieces. Yes, it is. Do the same if you want to. It looks very realistic, doesn't it? It looks like it's actually a piece of ribbon, but it isn't. It's a die cut, or it's a piece. It's an ephemera piece that I've then cut out. I'm just going to hammer up my journaling around the outside edge of the heart in my small, narrow grey pen, and I'm going to put the date in there as well somewhere. I don't think I have added the date actually. I have to go back and check what the date is. I'll put that around the outside edge of the heart too. And then I'm just going to finish off with a few splatters. I'm going to go for the Evergreen Bough Distress Oxide, and I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of that around. Now, I have a bit of a rogue paintbrush, so I ended up with some splatters where I didn't want them, which is why I'm holding that piece of cellophane up like I was and using my hand as a barrier to stop the splatters from going in strange places. So there we go. That is that layout complete. I really hope that you have enjoyed this class. I found the chevron technique to be really, really fun, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. So thank you very much for joining me for this class. Thank you for choosing this class, Ups and Downs. That was session 4, Ups and Downs with Niki at GoGo Getaway March 2022.